Listen to me closely because I'm going to tell you a brutal truth that you probably don't want to hear. You do not lack motivation. And honestly, you aren't nearly as lazy as you think you are. The real problem, the one hiding right in plain sight, is that your entire life has been structurally designed to destroy your discipline, day by day, without you even noticing. Every time you hit that snooze button, every single time you tell yourself you just need a stronger push or that you'll finally start tomorrow, you're actually running from a much deeper reality. In this explainer, we are stripping away the excuses. It's time to wake up.
I want you to ask yourself a very serious question. Not whether you're addicted to distraction. Look, we already know the answer to that. The real question is this. Do you still hold on to the illusion that you are the one calling the shots in your daily life? You probably think you're making conscious choices, right? But your environment has subtly hijacked your autonomy. Let me give you a single number that will completely shatter that illusion of control.
2,500. That is the number of times the average person touches their phone every single day. Over 2,500 times. Do you honestly believe that is a conscious choice anymore, or is it just a programmed reflex? If you are reaching for a piece of glass thousands of times a day, your attention is no longer your own. It's been harvested, packaged, and sold to the highest bidder, leaving you completely drained before your day even begins.
So let's get something straight right now. Discipline is not a feeling. It is not some rare genetic talent that some lucky people are just born with while you are somehow left out in the cold. No, discipline is a structured system. It is a cold, calculated architecture for your daily life. And right now, you're currently living inside a system that is actively engineered to make you weak, to keep you comfortable, compliant, and constantly distracted. To break out of this, we first have to understand the trap you're caught in.
Which brings us to our first core issue, Section 1, the dopamine trap, and why you are addicted to comfort.
Look, I need to be harsh with you for a second. You are not failing because you are incapable. You are failing because you have become addicted to comfort. Your brain is currently under constant, heavy bombardment. Notifications, TikTok, Reels, YouTube, endless gaming. It is a relentless barrage of fast, cheap dopamine every single second of the day. Your brain has been systematically trained to demand instant, unearned gratification. Think about it. You literally get frustrated if a video takes more than 2 seconds to load. Because of this artificial flood, reading a book feels impossibly hard. Working out feels like actual torture. Deep, focused work, completely unbearable. Why? Because your mind can no longer tolerate the absence of instant pleasure.
Here is the absolute baseline. If your dopamine-fried brain cannot handle delayed rewards, if it cannot handle being bored, you simply cannot succeed, period. Think about how wealth, true mastery, or any meaningful achievement is actually built. It's not built in sudden cinematic flashes of brilliance. It is the quiet, unglamorous ability to do boring things for a very long time, long before the reward ever arrives. Years ago, people worked grueling hours for results they wouldn't see for months. Today, you want the result before you've even put in the work. Real success requires doing the exact opposite of what the modern world trains you to do.
This leads perfectly into our next massive roadblock. Section 2, the illusion of enthusiasm, and exactly why you keep stopping.
We all know the most painful cycle of your life. I know exactly how it goes for you. You wake up one random morning and say, "That's it. I'm changing my life today." You build this elaborate, massive plan fueled entirely by pure enthusiasm. You download all the tracking apps, you watch a dozen motivational videos, and you tell yourself, this time it's actually different. But listen to me. Enthusiasm is just an emotion. It burns incredibly hot and then it dies almost immediately. A week later, you are right back where you started with the exact same pathetic excuses. You don't need enthusiasm. You need unemotional, boring, remarkably consistent systems. Enthusiasm buys the gym membership. A system gets your shoes on and gets you out the door when it's freezing, raining, and you've had a terrible day.
Let this sink in for a second. Discipline begins when enthusiasm disappears. The people who actually change their lives do not wake up feeling perfectly motivated every single day. They don't magically want to do the grueling work. They just do it anyway. Anyone can put in effort when they feel excited. Real discipline begins the exact moment your enthusiasm vanishes. It's what happens on the days you feel absolutely nothing at all.
Now let's talk about the solution. Section 3, designing your environment and the death of willpower.
We need to completely shatter the biggest lie you've ever been sold, the myth of willpower. You've been told your whole life that if you just try harder, if you just grit your teeth, you will succeed. Nonsense. Relying on willpower is a guaranteed recipe for failure. It is a constant, draining struggle. If your phone is sitting right next to you on the desk while you work, you are going to pick it up.
If your bed is warm, you will hit snooze. Placing yourself in the middle of temptation guarantees that you will cave eventually. Highly disciplined people do not possess magical willpower. They simply engineer their environment so they never have to use willpower in the first place. This right here is the fundamental difference between a life of constant struggle and a life of automatic success. So what do? You need to adopt these ruthless, actionable tactics today. You must make your bad habits impossibly hard and your good habits completely unavoidable. Want to focus? Hide the phone in a different room entirely. Want to work out in the morning? Put your gym clothes on the floor directly next to your bed so you literally have to step on them just to wake up. Want to read more? Put the book directly on your keyboard before you go to sleep. It isn't magic, it is the intelligent, ruthless design of your own life.
But there's a deeper psychological layer we can't ignore. Section 4. The fear of success. This is the uncomfortable truth.
We've talked about your environment, and we've talked about the dopamine traps, but there is a much darker reason you keep self-sabotaging, hiding deep in your subconscious. Part of you doesn't actually want to succeed, not because you enjoy failing, but because true success is absolutely terrifying. Success means greater responsibility. It means heavier expectations and immense pressure. So what do? You retreat. You wrap yourself in the familiar misery of your comfort zone. Because even the pain of being a failure, once you get used to it, eventually becomes a warm, comfortable blanket. It's safe.
You don't need another generic self-help routine. You definitely don't need a more complex 12-step plan. You need to look in the mirror and finally get completely, utterly disgusted with your own excuses. Transformation does not happen when you are simply inspired. It happens when you look at your current life and realize that this familiar misery is no longer acceptable. It happens when you finally draw a line in the sand and say, either I change right now or I'm going to bitterly regret this for the rest of my life.
So it's time to get to work. Section 5. Building real discipline. And we are starting today.
How do we actually fix this? How do we build real, unshakable discipline starting this very second? You start by abandoning your grand, complex delusions of overnight success. You stop trying to prove to the world how intensely strong you are, and you start proving to yourself how brutally consistent you can be. With ridiculously small steps. 10 minutes of studying, 10 push-ups, reading just 2 pages of a book. That's it. The goal here is not to change your entire life in a single day. The goal is to establish a baseline. You need to lower the barrier to entry so far down that you cannot possibly make a logical excuse to skip it.
You have to understand this exact metric of success. A terrible, exhausting, miserable day where you only managed to read 2 pages is infinitely better than a perfectly planned day where you did absolutely nothing. Discipline isn't just about checking off some massive to-do list for Instagram. It is about keeping tiny promises to yourself. Every single time you follow through, you rebuild your shattered self-esteem. Every time you quit, you just dig the hole deeper. You must start building a character you can actually rely on, one tiny, boring promise at a time.
If you do not actively seize control of your mind today, right now, the endless content, the comfort, and the fear will gladly continue doing it for you. These forces do not rest. They don't take days off. They will quietly drain your time, siphon your energy, and erase your potential until you wake up a decade from now with absolutely nothing left but regret. You are in a literal battle for your own attention, and right now, my friend, you are losing.
Your current life is just the lagging indicator of your past habits. It's not about your good intentions. It's not about your dreams or your vision boards. It is entirely about what you repeatedly do. The reality you will be forced to live in 5 years from now is being quietly constructed right this second. It's being built in these unseen, boring, unglamorous moments when absolutely no one is watching you and no one is cheering for you.
So, you have a choice to make. You can stay trapped in this loop for another 5 years, constantly preparing to begin, constantly finding a brand new excuse to start tomorrow. Or you can start right now, today, with one ridiculously small step. Will you keep running? Or will you finally step up and become the person you promised yourself you would be? The decision is yours. Make it count.